Okay, we're going to start. State your name and spell it out.
It's Frank Yeiharu Osato. F-R-A-N-K. Yeiharu is Y-E-I-H-A-R-U. Osato. A-S-A-T-O. Was born in 1943, April 24th, in Papakio, Hawaii, which is on the big island of Hawaii. I don't know what else to say. That's it.
That's okay. What war were you involved in?
I was involved in the Vietnam War.
Did you enlist?
Yes, I did. I enlisted in the Air Force.
When did you enlist?
I enlisted in July of 1964. I got out in July of 1968.
Why?
Because at that time we had to enlist, we had to volunteer into the Air Force, Marines, Navy, or Coast Guard. Or you could volunteer into the Army. But if you didn't do any of the volunteering, you would be drafted automatically into the Army. And the Army was the only organization that drafted 18-year-old, male.
So if you didn't choose any of the other service areas, then you'd automatically
You automatically drafted into the Army.
Okay. Do you recall your boot camp or training experiences?
Oh yes. We flew from Hawaii to San Francisco in a prop plane and took a train from San Francisco to San Antonio, Texas, Lackland Air Force Base, Texas.
How long did your training last?
The training lasted about 4 months, basic training.
Where did you go after that?
After that, I went to Shreveport, Louisiana. Well, I had a medical training in Greenville, Mississippi for about 6 months being a medical. Then got stationed at Shreveport Air Force Base for 3 years before going to Thailand for 1 year.
Okay. How long did you stay in Thailand?
1 year. 1 exact year.
Okay, what was your job or assignment when you were in Thailand?
I was stationed in Mukdahan, Thailand, we had 165 personnel. I was the only medic there. So I was involved with all the medical records of personnel there, be sure the shots were all up to date, and any medical needs that the airmen needed, whether it be a headache or a stomach, and minor or the other things that takes more than they need to know really.
How close were you to Vietnam and to the actual battle?
Since this was a radar site, we're right at the Mekong River between Laos and Thailand. We're right on the demilitarized zone, looking right across into Vietnam, north and south. And at night we could hear the B-52 bombers bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and you could see the flashes, and you could also hear, the loud boom was going on there.
Do you remember your first days when you first arrived in Thailand?
Oh yes, from Dan Phanam, which is 100 miles north of Mukdahan, where I was stationed at. We had to go in a military truck for about 100 miles on the dirt road, so you got really dusty when you got there. So when I got to the base, which was late at night, must have been at 8 o'clock, I had to take a bath because I was so dusty. I went to the mess hall. When I got to the mess hall, and I wore my civilian clothes because in Thailand, I never really wore any uniform at all. And when I got to the mess hall, those locals that were serving the food spoke to me in Thai, which I did not understand. And so I didn't say a word, and I found out later that they thought I was stuck up because I didn't say a word to them. They thought I was, one of those royalty that you don't speak to those people that's below you.
So you were mistaken for being Thai or Vietnamese?
Yes, I was. Because I wore my, no, I didn't wear any, uniform, so I wore just civilian clothes. Because I used to make medical calls off base, so I couldn't wear military uniforms off base.
The medical calls, like places off base, was that in local villages in Thailand?
In the local villages mainly, and even at the local hospitals, we used to assist at times when the doctors, local doctors needed help. I used to assist them. But mainly was at the village where about 20 miles away on a dirt road. I used to hold calls there on Wednesdays and Saturdays where people from all over around the village used to come over just to have medical attention or help.
Did you ever feel stress or pressure when you were there?
Yes, very much so. Because since I'm the only medic there, I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you had no idea what was going to come about. You had to be ready for any situation, events, things like that.
Okay. What did you think of the war when you were in Thailand? Like the reasons for fighting?
The reason for fighting, since everyone had to go into the war, like I said, there was, you had to volunteer or get drafted. There was no if or what's about it. You had to go in. And I guess we're in thinking that it was our duty to serve America because, like the president said, if we didn't fight this war, it would be like a domino effect that if Vietnam falls, then Laos is going to fall, then Thailand is going to fall, then Burma is going to fall. It keeps on going. And I think we went there just for the fact to prevent that. And if those places fell, Thailand, Burma, Laos, then I think it would be more costly for the Americans to send the troops there because you're fighting, so many countries that by then, that I think it would be more costly for lives, the cost, and American casualties, really.
Okay, and then you were awarded medals. Do you know what they were for and why you got them?
Well, I'm not really. These three on the bottom with these medals are for Vietnam. One is for service, and one is for the Vietnam campaign. This one on the top here is a commendation medal. And this on the left, I know it's the Presidential Unit Citation with the oak leaf, which depending on what organization, if you excel in that organization, everyone in that organization gets a medal. Oh, being a medic, unlike the Army, Air Force, whatever, the hospital is in a unit of its own. We don't hold any base duties or anything. It's all in the hospital. We have a hospital commander and he's it. We have no base duties or we ate at the hospital. Everything else is done at the hospital, which I think was great because, we're in a unit as a whole, not, has anything to do with the base as far as servicing goes.
Okay, and then with the uniform patches?
Yeah, this is the second bomb wing when I was stationed in Shreveport, Louisiana. This is the second bomb wing headquarters, which we had a General Wade. It was a 3-star general. And this is where all the B-52s were stationed. This one is for the Vietnam, which is Pacific Force. This is what everybody wore when they served in Vietnam, the Pacific campaign, Vietnam campaign. This is the medical insignia that we always wore. You see that the snake on the stake, that's for medical.
And you always had to wear this then?
When I wore my uniform, yes.
Okay.
But other than that, like I said, in Vietnam, in Thailand, I never wore a uniform.
Okay, is this a picture when you were in the service?
Yes, that picture was taken on basic training in Lackland Air Force Base.
Okay, and then We have pictures.
This picture is taken at a helicopter. I'm on the right there. The center person in there is a Thai doctor, and the person on the other side is a Green Beret. We flew a helicopter to this remote village. We had 4 helicopters. We were the 4th helicopters. So before we landed at that remote village, the 3 helicopters came down. All the guards ran out on the perimeter, making sure that it was safe. Then we landed. So, we were protected, so-called. And at that village, what was really interesting about it is that when we got there, the night before, they got attacked. So you could see bullet holes in the coconut trees going in, and when you got in the village, you could see bullet holes on the same tree going out. So they were really fighting, and we were there and going, geez, this is the closest it really came to being in a so-called war.
And see, that's not the only form of transportation.
This picture was taken at the village which hold the medical calls. And that's one of the means that the people got around to this village by elephants, oxen, horses, mainly by walking. They walk miles and miles in trails. There was no road there. They have to get just for medical attention.
Okay, is there anything else you want to add?
Yes, one thing that really, I think, gets me is that whenever we're in a foreign country, we as Americans should respect that country's culture or language. We as Americans take it for granted that even when we go to a foreign country that they should speak English. Why is that? Why don't we learn the culture? Why don't we learn the languages? This is why I think the term "the ugly American" came about, because of the fact that we have little or no respect for the foreign countries, and and we are the guests of that country, no matter where it is. Can be in Southeast Asia, Europe, or whatever. That we can't expect them or everyone in the world to speak English just to accommodate us as Americans, which I think is totally disrespectful, as Americans. I think we should make an effort, to go out there and learn the language, cultures, or whatever it takes to be more American, per se.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, dear.